Part 3, the epidemiology of cool. We know why YouTube has had such an incredible string of successes. The site makes it very easy to share a video with your friends, and for your friends to share videos with their friends, and so on. The marketers call this viral distribution, but we know it by another and much more prosaic name, friendship. As an inherently social species, we are constantly reinforcing our social connections through communication. It could be an IM, a text message, an email, a phone call, or a video. It's all the same to the enormous section of our forebrains that we use to process the intricacies of our social relationships. We share things to tell our friends we're thinking of them, and rather more competitively, to show our friends that we're on the tip. Each of us are cool finders. Now, some of us, like Corey, do it professionally, and we each keep a little internal thermometer which measures our own cool against our peers. That innate drive to be recognized for our tastes has been accelerated by the speed of light, by the network. And now, even as we cool find, we are constantly inundated and challenged by the cool finding of our peers. It's produced a very healthy, if ultra-Darwinian ecology of cool. Our peers are the selection pressure as we struggle to pass our memes on to the next generation. Now, thus far, we've done this on our own with very little assistance from the wealth of computing machinery which crowds our lives. We create ad hoc solutions for media distribution, mailing lists, websites, podcasts, each of these an attempt to spread our ideas more successfully. But they're held together tenuously only by our constant activity, like bees maintaining the cells of a hive. And it's a lot of work. We're forced to do it. We're forced to run the race, lest we be overrun by the memes of others. But we've reached one practical limit: time. No one has enough time in the day to keep up with all the information we should be absorbing. We can filter ruthlessly and perhaps miss out on something we'll regret later, or we can declare email bankruptcy like Lawrence Lessig, or just withdraw and withdraw and withdraw to an ever more specialized domain of cool finding. And we are doing each of these things every day under the pressure of all this information. There's got to be a better way. In the early years of the 19th century, farmers in western Pennsylvania kept their wagon wheels greased with puddles of bubbling muck that studded the countryside. Although useful, the puddles were a toxic nuisance to livestock. If the farmers could have rid their lands of these puddles, they would have. But a half a century later, western Pennsylvania became a boomtown, building on its substantial petroleum reserves. That bubbling muck had immense value, but it had to wait for the demands of the kerosene lamp and the internal combustion engine. In the early years of the 21st century, we each generate an enormous amount of interaction data. Each click on a computer, every email sent or received, every website visited, every text message, every phone call, every swipe of a credit card or loyalty card or debit card, every face-to-face interaction. None of it is recorded, at least none of it's recorded by us for any of us, although obviously the NSA has expressed some interest in it, because it hasn't been seen as valuable. It's bubbling up through all of us and around all of us as we create data shadows that have grown greater and longer and now resemble Jacob Marley's lockboxes and chains rattling around the corridors of cyberspace. All of that information is worth more than oil. It's worth more than gold. And all of it is sadly, almost obscenely dropped on the floor as soon as it's created. If we're lucky, it's deleted. If we're unlucky, someone uses it to create a digital simulacrum, and we find our identities hijacked. But in no case is this information ever exposed to us for our own use. We're told it has no value, and so far we've been stupid enough to believe it. But now, just now, economic forces are linking the persistence of our data shadows to our ability to filter the avalanche of information which characterizes life in the 21st century. It turns out that this data gawk, is good for greasing more than the wheels of cyberspace. These data shadows glow with the evanescent echo of our real social networks. Not the baby steps of MySpace and Friendster, but the real ground truth interactions which reveal ourselves and our relations one to another. It is human metadata, and it's the most valuable thing we've got now that there's a demand for it.